Everybody, Joe here. I want you to check out this motivational video by Tyson Fury about how he overcame addiction and depression. This is a great video, and I think you all are going to love it. So let's go ahead and jump right in.
I hit the drink heavily on a daily basis. I hit the drugs. I was out all night partying with women of the night and not coming home. And, I didn't care about boxing. I didn't care about living. I just wanted to die. And I was going to have a good time doing it while I was doing it. I used to drink and take drugs to get away from the depression, because when I was drunk or high, then I wouldn't think about being depressed. I thought about being, I'm a boxing champion, or I feel great. But as we know, when the drink wears off, it only leaves you with a bad hangover and feeling even more depressed. For someone who suffers with mental health, the worst thing we can do to escape it is take drugs or alcohol. I was focused on what I wanted to do, and that was beat Vladimir Klitschko. And I believe when you've got a goal in mind from being a child all your life, and you do that, then I was lost. I was almost like I didn't have anything more to do in my life. Although I could have carried on and defended the belts and whatever, I wasn't really interested in doing that. I'd beat the man I'd always wanted to do. Because when I was an amateur boxer, I used to watch Vladimir Klitschko on TV as a world heavyweight champion. And I always aimed, he was my target to beat. And when I finally beat him, it was like climbing my Everest. I didn't have anything more to prove. I had to make a comeback, because I was sitting here at 400 pounds, a drug addict, an alcoholic. By the way, I'd never took a drug in my life until I got to 27. Cocaine and alcohol. It's like
roller coaster.
Crazy drug and alcohol mix.
Yeah.
But, I look back on it now and I think, would I change that? I wouldn't. And not many people will think, well, this man's crazy for saying that on a radio show, but I wouldn't change a thing, because I know it was supposed to happen and I needed to be tested to see what type of character I was. Although I did all those mad things and I went through all that time and I tried to commit suicide, and like I said, I was waking up and I didn't want to be alive. I was making everybody's life a misery. Everybody who was close to me was pushing away. Nobody could talk any sense into me at all. And I'd go very, very, very low at times, very low. And I'd start thinking all these crazy thoughts and this, that and the other. And I was in my car. I bought a brand new Ferrari convertible in the summer of 2016. And I was in it and I was on the highway. And there's a strip of the highway where I am. And at the bottom of about a 5-mile strip, there's a massive bridge that crosses the motorway. And I knew that. And I got the car up to 190 miles an hour. I was heading towards that bridge. And I didn't care what no one was thinking. I didn't care about hurting my family, me career, friends, anybody. I didn't care. I didn't care about nothing. I just wanted to die so bad. I give up on life. And just as I was heading towards that bridge at 190 in this Ferrari, it had crushed like a Coke can, by the way, if I'd have hit it. I heard a voice say, "No, don't do this, Tyson. Think about your kids. Think about your family and your little boys and girls growing up with no father. And everyone's saying your dad was a weak man. He left yous. He took the easy way out because he couldn't do anything about it." And before I turned into the bridge, I pulled on the motorway and I was shaking. I could feel myself shaking, and I pulled over and I was all nervous and I didn't know what to do, and I was frightened and I was so afraid. And I thought, that day, I'll never, ever, ever try or think about taking my own life ever again. And I didn't. I went and got help from the leading psychiatrist, doctor in the UK. And my dad went up with me, and she said to me, "Dad, she said, can I have a word alone with you, John?" He said, "Yeah." My dad told me what she said when he came out. She said, "He is not to be trusted alone. He's an imminent death risk." That's the highest level of suicide risk that she'd ever assisted. And she said, without his faith, he would have been dead a long time ago. But she said, faith alone ain't going to hold him, because that's going to break. And once that goes, he's done. I was in a right state. I just didn't want to live anymore. And I had everything that a man could want. There wasn't nothing that I didn't have. But it meant nothing. Nothing meant anything. I felt worthless. And the longer it went on, the more it hurt inside, and the more I was hurting everybody. And I was out drinking. I didn't care. Give up. taking drugs, like I said. And it come to a point I was doing that for 18 months of my life. And I was out 2017 Halloween. I was a £400 dressed up as a skeleton. And I go to this fancy dress party, and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, these are all young kids compared to me. I'm 30 and I feel like I was the oldest guy in there, like 29. I was like, what am I doing here? Is this what you want for your life? And I thought to myself, this is not me. And no matter how many people told me before this, where I was going wrong, what I was doing, you need to act your life. You can only change your life if you want to change it. And I left, and everyone said, are you going home early? I said, yeah. I left at 9 o'clock. I went home. And I got back home. I didn't say anything to the wife. I just went straight upstairs into a dark room. And I took the stupid skeleton suit off. And I was sat there. And I got on my knees and I was praying and begging God to help me. And at this point, I'd never begged or cried to God to help me before. I'd prayed a lot all my life. But I'd never been in this physical state before. I could feel tears running down my face. My chest was wet with tears. Because I knew I couldn't do it on my own. It wasn't possible for me. Because I tried and tried and tried, and ended up back in the pub, back drinking. I almost accepted that was going to be my fate, an alcoholic. So I was on my knees in this bedroom, and after praying for about 10 minutes, I got up, and I felt the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. And for the first time in years, I knew I was going to make a comeback. And I called my wife. I said, Paris. She said, what? She thought I was drunk coming home from the pub. I said, Monday morning, I start to regain mission to try and get the heavyweight championship of the world back. She said, yeah. Because before this, every time I'd have a beer, I'd come back and I'm going to be the heavyweight champion of the world again, because it was the alcohol talking. So I was like the man who called wolf 1,000 times on this stupid career that I was living on the past, thinking about years before glory days. And after this prayer, I got up, I said, right, this is going to be it. She didn't believe me 1 second. But even when I speak to her now, she says, that night you told me that, she said, I hear a difference in your voice.